everyone, today we are going to be actually multiplying and dividing rational expressions, and before we do that I want to get into some multiplying and dividing review. These are things that we have used before, but it's been a minute, so let's go ahead and go over them. So when you are multiplying and you have variables involved, any coefficients that you have are going to multiply and exponents on variables will add. So for example, here I have a 2x times a 3x squared and times an x. So that means that the coefficients will multiply. That's going to be 2 times 3. Those are my coefficients. And then I'm going to multiply that times x raised to the 1 plus 2 plus 1 power, because my coefficient is a 1 here, a 2 here, and a 1 here. So 1 plus 2 plus 1. And so this will equal 2 times 3 is 6. And then I'm going to have x to the 4th power, 1 plus 2 plus 1. Dividing with variables, we're going to divide our coefficients, in other words, reduce our fraction, and then we'll subtract the exponents on variables. And so here, I want to reduce my fraction, my coefficients. I have a 6 and a 9, and 3 will divide evenly into both of those. So if I divide 6 by 3, I'm going to get a 2. If I divide 9 by 3, I will get a 3. And then let's take a look at my x's. I have an x to the 3rd power and an x to the 5th power. So that will be x to the 3 minus 5 power. This is going to give me 2 thirds times x to the negative 2 power, because 3 minus 5 is going to give me a negative 2. Now we have to remember one of our exponent rules that says that a negative exponent means that we do the reciprocal. So right now, that x is on the top of the fraction with a negative 2. I'm going to move it to the bottom of the fraction, but make the 2 positive. So I'll have 2 over 3x squared. So this is our negative exponent rule that we learned back in the beginning of the 6 weeks. All right. One last piece for multiplying and dividing review, and that is powers that have variables. So we will take the power of any coefficient and then we will multiply the exponents on variables. So if we have 2 times x to the 3rd and the whole thing is raised to the 4th power, I'm going to take the 4th power of 2. So let's write that, 2 to the 4th power. And then I want to multiply that by x raised to the 3 times 4 power. Remember that exponents are going to multiply. So raised to the 3 times 4 power. 2 to the 4th power, so 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 is 16. And then this will be x, and 3 times 4 is 12. So we learned this acronym before. When we multiply coefficients, we add exponents, so that's multiplying. And then dividing, we subtract our exponents. And then when we deal with powers, raising something to a power, we multiply the exponents. So MAD SPAM was the acronym that I gave you guys before. Multiply, add, divide, subtract, and powers multiply. One last thing that we want to review, and that's how to deal with dividing fractions, because we will apply this whenever we go to divide our rational expressions. So you may remember a saying, keep, change, flip, from when you first learned to divide fractions. And what that means is that you keep the first fraction the way it is. So in our example, our first fraction is 4 over 3. So I'm going to keep 4 over 3. I'm going to change the division symbol to multiply. So I'll put the dot for multiplying. And then I want to take the reciprocal of the second fraction. So 2 over 5 becomes 5 over 2. And the reason that we do this is dividing by a fraction is the same thing as multiplying by its reciprocal. And we know how to do multiplying fractions. We just multiply across the top, multiply across the bottom. So 4 times 5 is 20, and 3 times 2 is 6, and I want to reduce that fraction. I can take a 2 out of each, and that will leave me with 10 over 3 as a final reduced fraction.